So if you have check in a venue by scanning the QR code, if you have look at the mask availability, if you have reserved your vaccines using your local civic technologies chatbot and so on, you know there are such a thing as digital civic and public infrastructures. And once you have this experience, there's no going back.
それでは、僭越ながら私からも一つ質問をさせていただきたいと思います。これまで政府の役割、それから企業の役割といったことについて伺いましたけれども、結局その根底にあるのは我々一人一人だということかと思います。そこでですね、このデジタル社会において我々一人一人がどういう心がけを持てばいいのかということについて伺いたいと思います。と申しますのも、まず政治のこととなると、基本的に我々は日々の仕事に忙しくて、正直めんどくさいなと思ってしまう。あまりそこに時間を割こうとしなくなってしまうということもありますし、それからインターネット上では、匿名であることを生かして、日頃のストレスを発散するためもあってですね、様々な人に対して非常に悪い、コメントをする、誹謗中傷のようなことを言ってしまうという人が後を絶たないというのも、受け止めなければいけない現実かと思います。そういったようなネガティブなサイクルから抜け出して、我々がこのお一人一人がこの社会の担い手として、こういったガバナンスに参加する、ということが重要かと思いますけれども、そういったことを達成するために我々一人一人の心がけをどのように変えていけばいいのかということについて何かアドバイスがあれば頂戴できますでしょうか。
The more anti-social corners of social media, of course, everybody likes to blame Facebook. I would not say it's just Facebook. I would say it's everyone who build platforms that maximizes attention, but for advertisement or commercial purposes. Surveillance capitalism, I believe that's the words most people use now. The surveillance capitalists in the digital world, obviously they built a social place, but I liken it to the nightclub. That is to say, the entertainment sector meant only for adults. So maybe it's a smoke-filled room. Maybe you have to shout to get heard. As you said, people go there to vent some of the bad emotions, to relax by shouting at each other. There are addictive drinks, maybe some gambling. There are private bouncers that can escort you out if you do something wrong, right? So all in all, not a place where we think we will invite our mayors to hold a town hall conversation or answer to citizens' questions. But if on the digital world, the only social places are those nightclubs, and the mayor want to hold a digital town hall, maybe they don't have a choice. And then they make the children go to a place where the children are not supposed to go. And they make the adults to succumb to the addictive drinks and the smoke-filled room. And then they think, oh, maybe social media is entirely antisocial. Now, I don't have anything against the entertainment sector, but I do think that we need the civic infrastructure and public infrastructure. That is to say, the digital equivalent of university campus or public park on one side and town halls on the other side, maintained by the academic and social sector and the public sector respectively, so that people can find these places when they go online. I mean, in Japan, there are also social entrepreneurs. I learned of the Poly platform by way of digital agency, where they're tackling exactly the same problem by building first a civic infrastructure and now a public infrastructure. The challenge, as I see it, is that nobody will see something as a public infrastructure unless, like a highway, a significant amount of people use it day to day. Because otherwise it's indistinguishable in day-to-day conversation to another entertainment shop if you have not been to either one, right? But if it is really a highway-like place where people do frequent, and that's the reason why public parks are all over the community, right? You can see a public park if you just walk a couple blocks. So you can't avoid the idea that there are public parks in the society. So if we make it as easy to access and as popular as that, based on those common experiences, then people will say, oh, let's go there instead of the entertainment sector when we have civic and public discussions. In Taiwan, of course, we're blessed to have PTT, which is subsidized by the academic network for the past 25 years. And it's never captured by advertisers or any commercial interest. So it retains the university campus. And during the COVID, we understand that the toll-free number, the 1922, the joint platform, the participation officers, the local pharmacists, and so on, all together play a public infrastructure role. So if you have check in a venue by scanning the QR code, if you have look at the mask availability, if you have reserved your vaccines using your local civic technologies chatbot and so on, you know there are such a thing as digital civic and public infrastructures. And once you have this experience, there's no going back. And then your energy will be put more on the co-creative amount of your time and energy on those online places. I hope that answered the question.
今おっしゃったような仕組みで純粋に社会のためになる議論が行われるような環境ができたら非常に良いと思うのですけれども、このおっしゃったようなそのトクシックなネット環境の中で、社会がすでにポーラライズしてしまったような場合にですね、それをもう一度国の団結を取り戻すというかですね、そういうことっていうのはどういうところから始めたら良いとお考えになりますか？
I think it's easier if we start small. If we think about uniting a small town, the kind of digital democracy tools like Polis, which we didn't get to today, has proven time and time again. If you are in a town of maybe 200,000 people, it's very easy to hold town halls based on the V-Taiwan method, using participation officer-like method. And the same if you work in a company of around tens of thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people. Again, it's very easy to introduce such mechanisms. So the polarization can be thought of a kind of a map with broken zooming levels, only the individual level and the entire country or entire globe level. And if you have a map that only works on those two levels, you may feel hopeless because it's either a sovereign individual and nobody trusts anybody, very, Bitcoin-ish future, or it is state or capitalist surveillance that works on the top level. But many of our work is to work on this zooming slider so that you can see a plurality of configurations. It's not just Uber X versus the government. It's also the local temples, local churches, the people who drive each other to work, the people who are also skirting the law a little bit, but for their local benefit and so on. And when the conversation centers around how to empower the local drivers, co-ops, temples, and churches to make the hard to reach public transportation places better, then Uber have something to say, of course, but it's just one of the many stakeholders instead of a top-down profit-seeking optimizer. And if you can make the people who concentrate on the two ends of the slider concentrate a little bit on the hundreds of thousands of people level, then you already created proof of existence of such possibilities. And then, like Taiwan does, what we do is that we gradually scale up the conversation, and very democratic because it's the participation officers vote twice a month what cases they have the capability to tackle. So we don't work on like the abolition of the death penalty on the very beginning, or things that we know will be polarizing. We work to scale up the conversations. First, just tens of thousands of people, and then hundreds of thousands, and then have a million, and then maybe millions if we face things such as the pandemic.
ありがとうございました。どういう状況になっても小さく手堅く始めるところから希望が開けてくるという大変素晴らしいお話をお伺いいたしました。
オードリーさん、本日は大変お忙しい中、充実したディスカッションをいただきまして本当にありがとうございました。アジャイルでコラボレティブなガバナンスを実践するためには非常に多くの困難がありますけれども、まさに今日教えていただいたような様々なアイデアに基づいて、日本でも個人、政府、そして企業がですね、相互に協力して良い社会を作っていけるような仕組みができればというふうに思っております。ぜひ引き続き台湾の取り組みからも学ばせていただきたいと思っております。今日は本当にありがとうございました。
Thank you. I really have to run, but I really enjoyed this conversation. I would just leave you with the thought we need to unmute ourselves. Thank you. Live long and prosper.